you doing? I'm on my way to do some live streaming at the church, but this morning, the weather that I fear the most is happening. It's very insidious. It's called freezing fog. And what happens is that after it snows, the air temperatures rise and melt. And then when the temperatures start going down again, it creates fog. And then when it gets below freezing, the fog freezes on contact with any surface. And it's very insidious because, hold on, let me change something here. There. It's very insidious because you don't see it. So you have to be kind of aware of it and drive extremely carefully. And a lot of people don't. They go out, they don't listen to the weather, they don't check the temperature, and they just drive out and, everything looks great. And they do about 100 miles an hour, and then they hit an invisible slick spot, and at full speed they lose control. And, you especially have to watch out for bridges and elevated surfaces like the one I'm just crossing now, because they will freeze up first. And besides that, when people are walking, they'll hit slick spots and they'll fall, and there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of storm chasers that make a big deal about chasing tornadoes and everything, and the weather service, and everybody goes crazy and panics when there's a tornado in the area. But the chances are really good that you will never, ever, ever see a tornado in your whole lifetime, unless you look for it. But chances are really good that you or somebody you know will be injured by weather like this. And here comes an SUV going really, really fast. And, I take it slow. And the reason being that even though you have four-wheel drive, the worst part is going downhill, and you lose traction going downhill in a four-wheel drive just as quickly as anything. And, unfortunately, people with all-wheel drive cars, they have a false sense of confidence. I've seen more four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive cars end up in ditches and bad accidents than anything else. And then you have people who have a car like that, which is just front-wheel drive, but it's in an SUV body. But people think, well, I drive an SUV. Your car is probably a little more unsafe than a regular car because it's a bit higher off the ground. And you only have two-wheel drive. There's a lot of things like computer-aided traction control and everything, but I wouldn't want to rely on technology to save my life. I don't know. Is somebody in such a rush in their Saab that they didn't even brush their car off? They're letting the wind do it for them. Big sheets of ice are coming off that car. I may be driving a little too fast, but everybody just, they're in a hurry this Sunday morning to get somewhere. I haven't seen any cars in the ditches. I've had one spot where I kind of slipped when I hit the ice on the side of the road, in the corner. But, problem that I have with other people's driving, I try and pay attention to my own driving, but when I see people doing things, not taking any caution or anything like that, when they wipe out, they can take you out as well. And I've had that where you're driving and somebody drives past you really fast, lose control right in front of you, right next to you. I don't know if the roads have been treated or what. I haven't seen anybody out, but that doesn't mean anything. it is beautiful, very picturesque. If you can get out safely with your camera and take some artsy pictures, that would be nice. But other than that, it's probably just warms up. Well, my temperature gauge says it's 32 degrees. So maybe it is warming up. I don't know what temperature is supposed to get up to today. Earlier up north, my temperature gauge said it was 28 degrees. So, and that's kind of common too. When you come into the city, cities are warmer than the suburbs or the countryside. All the pavement and buildings and everything radiate heat a little bit more, and trying to get to the church in time to set up for my live stream, which without hurrying. I mean, normally I would be doing the speed limit at least. That's why you see everybody speeding past me, because they're all driving at least 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. I'm driving about 5 miles an hour under. Actually, now I'm driving 5 miles an hour over because of speed here is 45. Salt truck plow that belongs, I think, to the North Kansas, the downtown airport, North Kansas City Airport, the downtown airport, which is next to North Kansas City. Again, confusion with, even with the temperatures above freezing, just slightly. This is a really tall, elevated bridge over a big body of water, the Missouri River. And this is something really to worry about. Be aware of. I don't like to worry. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who use this bridge to walk across. It's not very good access. The places where they walk, like the middle of the bridge, the side of the bridge is covered with snow. They can't walk there. So they'll walk down the middle. And it's covered in snow and slush too, and they might slip and fall into traffic. A lot of times at night, these people wear black. They are people who, I think most of them live in a former motel. It's in a little part of Kansas City, the Missouri River, close to the downtown airport. It's called Harlem, and there's an old motel that used to be a Holiday Inn, fell down on its luck. I guess people in the neighborhood kept breaking into the cars and stuff, and the Holiday Inn management wouldn't do anything about it. And most of their customers were actually the federal government. You know, they had a contract with the federal government to bill it. People like weather service employees who were training at the training center. And when the training center complained that everybody was losing their windows and stuff out of their cars, the Holiday Inn management said, well, what do you want us to do about it? And they said, well, nothing. We're moving on. And when they did that, it was no longer a Holiday Inn. It became an apartment, kind of a low-income apartment. And unfortunately, a lot of low-income people who live there have made a lot of poor choices in their lives, and a lot of them are borderline homeless, and so they use that bridge to cross over to go to a liquor store, the closest liquor store they can find. And that liquor store so people take their lives in their hands and walk across that bridge because they got to get their alcohol, and so there you have it. And that's why you see a lot of people walking in all types of weather across that bridge, ice, sleet, taking their lives in their hands. Oftentimes they wear black, dark clothing at night. You can't even hardly see them. And, recipe for disaster. How do I know about that Holiday Inn so well in Harlem? Well, back in the late 70s, we moved to Kansas City from the South, because my dad was a weather service employee, and he first came up here to train at the training center, and then he got a job at the training center as an instructor. And when we first came to Kansas City in the middle of January of 1978, one of the worst winters ever, and we came in the middle of a blizzard. The cars with the heaters, it was so cold the heaters were failing in our cars, so we were freezing. And we stayed a week at that Holiday Inn, when it was a Holiday Inn, as National Weather Service Training Center, until my father and my mother could find a more permanent lodging for us. And we stayed from January until May in Excelsior Springs at a place called the Monterey Motel. That was so me and my sister could go to school. My school was right across the street from the motel. And the motel had, fully furnished bathroom. So, all right, my gauge says it's right at the freezing, and you can see the moisture is hitting the windshield. Heck, I might come in here and find that the church has a sign on it, "Please stay at home." In that case, I'll ask the fathers. I'll approach the fathers and ask them if they want to do a service online. I doubt it. If that was the case, I doubt they'd be ready to do that, and I doubt that this would be the case. It probably, it's a bad thing about this kind of weather. It catches everybody unaware. Well, anyway, I'm here. I'm queer. Get used to it. So let's get her moving. See if there's any kind of sign or what's going on.